obviously T.Y. Hilton down, but you still have him ahead of like Curtis Samuel, right? That's what we established?
Yeah, I do.
I do, but I think I'm the lowest guy on Curtis Samuel. I'm also the lowest guy on T.Y. Hilton.
Okay, so he's number 3-ish, number 3 wide receiver.
Yes.
For me, yes.
Okay, I want to talk more about Marlon Mack and Duke Johnson and a Twitter poll that you ran comparing the two, which I was a little surprised by the results. But, Ben, why don't we get your take on the Andrew Luck retirement, which just sucks, and basically let's start with T.Y. Hilton and when you would draft T.Y. Hilton, Ben.
Yeah, the retirement, shocking. Obviously, I don't think I have anything that insightful that we haven't all kind of thought and heard already. But as far as where I'm ranking T.Y. Hilton, he's not outside the wide receiver twos for me. Jacoby Brissett was traded on September 2nd or September 3rd in 2017 for Philip Dorsett 8 days before their Week 1 game. He played in that game. He then started the next 15 games. That was all under Chuck Pagano and offensive coordinator Rob Chudzinski. I don't know how relevant any of that is. He didn't get a lot of time to learn the offense. It was a completely different offense, and I think Frank Reich has shown that he's a very good head coach and previously offensive coordinator thus far in his coaching career. I think things can be a lot different for Jacoby Brissett in 2019 than they were in 2017. I'm not knocking Hilton quite as much. I do think they'll be more run heavy. I think they'll definitely change their offensive look. But I have Brissett as not being nearly as bad as he was in 2017. I see Hilton's floor as basically being what he did in 2017. And I actually have him I just updated my projections. I have him at wide receiver 22 in my projections. That's about where I'd take him. I mean, there's not quite as much upside, obviously.
Yeah, my only, and I don't think we're probably too far apart in terms of projections for what we have for T.Y. Hilton. The thing that I struggled with, I agree with what Ben said. I don't think Jacoby Brissett will be as bad as he was in 2017. It's just that T.Y. Hilton is kind of a weird wide receiver when it comes to the borderline number ones before, because he never catches a ton of passes. He's never scored a ton of touchdowns. And this Indianapolis offense, last year, you look at Hilton's share of the targets, he was really only on pace for about 21%. That's very low for a team's number one wide receiver. It's just that they threw the ball 645 times or 644 times. Well, when I take away some of those pass attempts, and I don't think it's quite as, I don't think it's very likely he's having a career year in terms of touchdowns this year. So I've got him for 5. I've got him ranked at wide receiver 29. If he plays 16 games and puts up the exact numbers that I have him projected for, he'll probably finish closer to where Ben has him ranked than where I have him ranked, because 5 or 6 guys in front of him are going to get hurt, but I don't know which guys those are.
Right. So I'm with you guys on just about all of this, especially the part about the offense being a lot better. We've already seen evidence of Brissett playing well this preseason. He did it in the game against Cleveland. He missed on 1 throw in that game. And I went back and I watched the game against Buffalo. This is their first preseason game.
He didn't play well.
He did, well, he had one.
Terrible.
He had 1 pass knocked down. He had to throw another one out of bounds because he was getting pressured. It wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the Cleveland game, but he can throw in the short area very well. So you're going to see this offense look a lot different than what you expect. And so giving him big targets in the short and mid range is going to be very important. And that's why I didn't move down Eric Ebron. It's an unpopular opinion. Eric Ebron still should be drafted as a top 12 fantasy tight end. You just do it later than you would have with Andrew Luck as his quarterback.
Okay, and so I know Heath gave some of these numbers on the previous show, but T.Y. Hilton was wide receiver 25 in non-PPR, wide receiver 28 in PPR in 2017 without Luck, but he had 7 games with fewer than 30 yards. I think that was the really frustrating thing is, it's not like he was a consistent number 2, number 3 wide receiver. He was either really, really good in great matchups or he was completely useless.
He had 10 games where he was wide receiver 45 or worse.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great stat. And then that wasn't the only time we've seen him without Andrew Luck. In 2015, he played 9 games without Luck, and his 16-game pace was not that bad, but the touchdowns were low. It was 68 catches, 1,024 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That was his 16-game pace without Luck in 2015. Sorry. So,
but again, none of that's with Frank Reich. I mean, I think it's a huge difference to look at Frank Reich as the offense or the head coach, but the offensive leader compared to the coordinators they've had in the past.
Yeah,
the offensive line too is much better.
It is a much better line, but also a deeper receiving core. So, all right, so let's do some rankings here. T.Y. Hilton or Emmanuel Sanders, guys.
I still have Hilton ahead of Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, by a pretty fair margin.
Yeah, it's not close.
All right, T.Y. Hilton or Alshon Jeffrey?
Hilton.
I have Hilton higher than Alshon, but it's by literally 2 spots.
Hilton over Alshon, yeah.
A.J. Green or Hilton?
Green. And it's
Green.
not particularly close for me.
Green, and it's extremely close for me.
I have them neck and neck, but I mean that's knocking Green down with his injury. I mean, I think I'd rather take Green because when he's healthy, I would expect him to be a lot better.
Right.
Okay.
It's a matter of how healthy he'll be.
Robbie Anderson.
I've got Hilton ahead of Robbie.
That's the perfect. Like I think you look at projections and they're projected for almost the same thing in terms of like catch rate, almost everything. I've got Hilton a couple of spots ahead. If I thought that Jacoby Brissett was going to be what he was in 2017, I'd have Robbie Anderson ahead. But they're right in the same range. Flip a coin.
Yeah, I'll take Hilton, and same as Heath. I think that's a great comparison.
All right, let's go to Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack or Tevin Coleman? I think it was kind of a bad weekend for Tevin Coleman, right?
I agree.
Who would you rather have, Marlon Mack or Tevin Coleman? Ben, I'll start with you.
I'll take Mack. I don't think he really loses a lot here. I think they're going to be more run heavy. He's the running back on the team. I think this really hurts Nyheim Hines, but Marlon Mack is he didn't move down my ranks when I updated my projections. He's still ahead of Tevin Coleman.
The offense, though, it's going to be so much worse.
Yeah,
huge.
Absolutely.
And that was one thing, and I wanted to get Ben's opinion on this because I know we do projections in a similar way. I do think they're more run heavy, but I had them projected to be one of the fastest paced offenses in the NFL, and I still think they'll have that intention. But I don't believe they'll be able to sustain drives like they would have with Andrew Luck. So I did actually knock down their pace a little bit in their total plays.
40
What's that?
Plays. 40 plays I took off their offense.
Yeah. And then I also knocked down their touchdowns. So I did downgrade Marlon Mack, and I'd take Tevin Coleman over him.
I'm not even impressed with Marlon Mack this preseason. I don't think he's been that great or he's looked that great. And
I wasn't that impressed last year.
They're not going to be afraid of the deep ball now with Brissett under center. You bet I knocked him down. He's behind Phillip Lindsay for me.
I was never convinced that he's a great player. I'm not convinced that he isn't, but I think the jury's still out. But I just thought the situation could not have been much better for Marlon Mack. Best offensive line, great offense, going to get the goal line work, and two of those things are still true.
Yeah.
So what did you say, Coleman or Mack?
I'll take Tevin Coleman.
All right, and you're still on Mack, Ben, and Heath has Tevin Coleman. Go ahead. You want to get in, Ben?
Yeah, the only comment I want to make is I was a lot lower than any of you guys on Mac. It sounds like, and I think we already kind of knew that. So I didn't knock him down a bunch, but it sounds like you guys are coming back down to a lot closer to where I already was.
Is he in your top 24 at running back, Ben?
In my projections, yeah. In my rankings, yeah, I think so. Yes, he's still there.
He is in non PPR still for me. In PPR, I don't think he's going to catch very many passes. He's out of the top 24.
Yeah, he's out of my top 24 in PPR for sure, and he is exactly 24th in non.
Marlon Mack or Phillip Lindsay?
I just told you, PPR matters here. Lindsay is ahead of him in PPR. I'll take Mack in non.
Same.
Okay.
Mack for me.
Marlon Mack or Duke Johnson? Ben, we'll start with you. What do you got? This could be format dependent too.
Yeah, it is. In non, I'll take Mack. In PPR, I'll definitely take Duke.
I'm the same way, and it's going to be like we're going to get into Duke, I assume, a lot more. We won't get into it too
much.
Right now, I don't think there's much chance they're just going to make Duke Johnson a feature back. But all I did was give him like 35% of the team's rush attempts and 13% of the team's targets, and it puts him right about 200 touches. And I lowered his efficiency from what he did in Cleveland just because, volume's going up. Maybe the efficiency goes down a little bit. And I got him into my top 24 in PPR. I've ranked him just a little below that because I want to see who they bring in. They're going to bring someone in.
Carlos Hyde.
It could very well be Carlos Hyde. I guess it could be Jay Ajayi.
Yeah, we have an email from Bill who said he's picking up Jay Ajayi.
If it's one of those slugs, I'm probably going to be here with Sportsline and have him in the top 20 running back in PPR.